One of the first like big names to wear us was Sonam Kapoor.
Okay.
My family's getting so excited. We're calling, oh my god! Then Ranveer wore it. Ranveer was a big high as well for me. The other person who was big that excited me, so like Kanye wearing it was tears for sure. Elon wears it, I will die. I'll be.
Man.
Ever since I knew that you got Devashi on, like I was like, I have to be.
Oh man, you know about that episode?
I'm the biggest fan of Devashi.
Oh my god.
It was this movement in North America specifically. It was to reach out to underrepresented groups. Any one thing can become a topic of conversation over a evening, a night, a day, a month,
That's
whatever.
true.
I think that's so exciting. 300 things that are more important, hospitals, way more important. Police officers, lawyers, like these things are like genuinely you're contributing to society. So in the face of it, you can very easily dismiss fashion.
Yeah.
I wrote my final paper in college about Kanye. So मैं तो रो रहा था, dude.
As soon as you enter, it's like, wow, where am I?
Yeah.
A name of a company and the logo, like you have a red logo. Biggest brands in the world have either red or yellow logos. And also the name is so catchy and I think it matters a lot.
I went to the house where Steve Jobs built up and it's all fenced up, the cameras everywhere. And I just sat there for the longest time. I was like, something like that Indian in me, I was like, kuch chahiye yahan se to like remember it, I'll take one blade of grass, something. And I saw the mailbox and I reached across and I unscrewed one screw from the mailbox,
And you took-
got in a car and ran. It's framed in my office even today.
Oh my god.
I've grown up with this weird obsession with this idea of power. Never that like wanting it, but like I find it so exciting. I find it so fascinating. We actually opened our own fruit shop in Green Park. We sold clothes out of Boris. I want a team of people obsessed with what we're
we're doing.
creating. I think the West has had its moment.
Now it's our time.
Now it's our time.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Scene Kya Hai. Today I have with me Mr. Dhruv Khurana, who's the creative director of Almost Gods, which is an independent fashion label.
Yeah.
And today we'll discuss all things Almost Gods. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming, bro. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to have
No,
this
man.
conversation and learn so much about what you're doing, how you're doing, and all things about this industry and this whole culture.
No, bro, this is fun.
Yeah.
Ever since I knew that you got Devashi on, like I was like, I have to be.
Oh man, you know about that episode?
I'm the biggest fan of Devashi.
Oh my god.
Like Roadie season 5, though all those auditions
Are
that
just
man,
epic. Are just
amazing.
epic. 100% agree, bro. That's a separate story,
Yes.
which we'll discuss later on. I'll tell you how I got him here.
Yeah.
So, bro, tell me. First of all, if you can just introduce in a brief what Almost Gods is, what you do,
Yeah.
and then I'll ask further questions about it.
Yeah. So Almost Gods is an independent fashion label. We're operating out of New Delhi, but we're pretty much functioning globally.
Okay.
I think we're derived from streetwear, but we're not a streetwear brand necessarily.
Okay.
That's Almost Gods.
Okay.
And I genuinely think of it as a culture company. Like
As a culture company.
Yeah, as a company that's trying to engage with culture, trying to generate culture, and trying to add and build to that conversation.
Okay, that's great, man. Lovely to hear. Can you tell me, you said it's not exactly a streetwear company.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a streetwear company and what you're doing?
I think streetwear is a very like a niche thing. When streetwear started, it was this movement in North America specifically. It was to reach out to underrepresented groups. These people had been shunned from fashion. Like I know so many large houses would be like, whatever you do not let access to these people to be part of the fashion conversation.
Okay.
There's this
Correct me if I'm wrong. That's where Supreme came from as well. Okay.
Correct. So Supreme was one of those brands that like really just like said F you to the fashion industry.
You can cuss.
Okay,
it's
cool.
fine. Yeah.
My grandfather watches my podcast and then he just tells me afterwards, he's like, why do you abuse so much? So,
All right, it's fine.
but it will slip through.
Okay.
But yeah, Supreme is one of the biggest companies, and I think the reason why I'm here is because of streetwear.
Okay.
Streetwear to me sort of opened the doors to be like, you can be making clothes, like you can be a Zara and H&M, but suddenly you're adding to a cultural conversation. Suddenly I go to a party, I can just spend my whole party talking about Supreme and Supreme's brick. I can talk about Supreme doing these weird skateboarding stunts. They're working with Julia Fox on this one flight ad. Like it's just, they're culturally awake, And And the second clothes can become conversation, or second any one thing can become a topic of conversation over a evening, a night, a day, a month,
That's
whatever.
true.
I think that's so exciting, you know.
That's great.
So streetwear is where we started. That's how our thinking sort of began. But we realized that we do want to be engaging in discourses that are outside just fashion. And there are brands who do that. You look at someone like Kanye West, for example. Kanye's core influence is music, right? But then Kanye makes clothes. He does Yeezy. But today, like my mom and I talk about this all the time, which is to say that why should she care about Kanye? And my logic is the plates on which we're eating food, the books we're reading, the whatever you're doing, somewhere Kanye has seeped into the mindset of the person who's made that. You know, Kanye's aesthetic, Kanye's vibe, that whole feel, that's in everything you do. So Kanye is a cultural, like a pillar today. He's a cornerstone. So that's why he's unignorable.
That's true. He's created that.
He's built it from scratch.
No matter what people say about him, but when it comes to this, I mean, he's completely nailed everything.
Oh,
for sure.
Yeah.
So, about your journey, can you just tell me where you started from and how the whole journey of Almost God started? Was it in college? Was it in school? Did you studying in US have a huge impact on that? If you can just give me a brief on that as well.
Yeah. So I'm a Delhi boy.
Yeah.
I'm Delhi wala. Went to school here. When I was 17, I started my first business, which was it was based in the grain industry. I was trading agricultural grains.
At 17.
Yeah, it was a very silly idea, to be honest. It was a simple trading company, but what I did was I looked at undertapped product from an undertapped market, and there's this video of me raising funds for it on YouTube. It's so embarrassing. It's like a chota sa fat kid, like big mohawk on my hair, going up to investors and pitching.
That's great, man. When you look back at it, I'm sure.
When you look back at it, yeah. In that moment, I was like, girlfriend nahi milne wali iske baad. But yeah, so I stole the logo of that company from Wikipedia. It was called Commodity Traders Asia. Changed the name to Spice Route. We started bringing in red kidney beans, rajma, from Uzbekistan into India. Because no one was looking at that market. People would always go to traditional markets for grains. I don't know why I'm talking so much about that. That was like exciting time. Yeah.
Very nice, bro. It's part of your journey.
It is. I've always known I want to do business. Like to me, business it's the most exciting thing, I think.
For sure.
As much as you can make a cool t-shirt, you can make all this, nothing drives impact the way a solid business model does.
100% agree on that. For sure.
Yeah. So I did that. I did that from the age of 17 through my second year of college. Made a little bit, built my first team, fired my first person, which was a very emotional day. I just hung on to my ex-girlfriend being like, this is the worst thing I've ever done. But did that. And then when I was in college, I was looking for something more exciting to do because I was like, this gets me started, but this is not where I want to be long term. Like this is not driving impact. This is not consumer facing. It was very B2B driven. And to me, I love consumer facing. I love the idea of like talking to people and having that direct impact. It's very tangible, you know. It's very emotional.
Very emotional.
Yeah. So I started going to conventions in the States while I was in college, and I found this scientist from Texas, like big 10-gallon hat, studs on his thing. But he had developed this fabric that worked like Velcro, but it was very soft to the touch. It was like cotton.
Okay.
And he had patented it, and he didn't know what the hell to do with it. He was just presenting to be like, someone tell me. And me being like a little overconfident coming out of this venture, I was like, listen, fly back to India. Let's sit. We've got production units. We can figure out, we'll find a factory. We'll find someone who can help us make whatever we want. But let's make some cool things. And my pitch to him was Pokemon. I was like, you have a surface that's reconfigurable. Let's give people badges and they can buy badges as collectibles and then trade it with their friends. And it's like Pokemon cards, how we used to grow up with it, right? So he found that exciting. Got him over here.
While you were in uni?
While I was in uni. So my summer holidays.
Sorry, what convention was this?
You have like these trade fairs that happen all around the
It was
US.
not specifically to clothing. It was
No.
just a convention.
It was a technology
Thing. Okay, so you got him to
yeah.
India.
Got him here, and we decided we're going to start with bags.
Okay.
So customizable bags, where the idea was little kids could put badges onto it, rip off the badges. You know, a new Spider-Man movie comes out.
You can launch something with Spider-Man.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you don't need to buy a new Spider-Man bag. You just buy one badge.
Yeah.
So for the parents, it's economical.
Yeah.
Then there were 10 more use cases that kind of attached themselves that we realized over time. You know, speakers get attached to the piece. Parents could write teachers' notes on the bag attached to the bag. The kid walks to school, the teacher has the note. All these little things.
Crazy.
We did that. We started working with Disney and Six Flags and Nickelodeon in the States. We started licensing their properties. We worked with NASA. We got Star Wars little badges made. So we launched it there. And then what we saw was that customers, like children, weren't so excited by this as their parents were.
Huh.
Because for parents, it was something new. For kids, everything is new.
Yeah.
You know,
but for parents, it was something.
Yeah,
different.
they were like, I want this. You know. So we started thinking. Then we started seeing who's our biggest demographic. And basically, after I graduated from college, we sort of upended the company from the US, and we moved to Bangkok.
Oh.
Yeah. So we rebranded as per what we had learned over about 2 years. We opened the company in Bangkok. Over the span of about a year and a half, 2 years, we opened about 14 stores globally. And
1 second. This is before Almost Gods.
This is all before Almost Gods.
And how old were you that time?
Batchpack would have started 19 is when I would have started it.
That's amazing, bro. I had no idea about this.
Yeah.
So you had 14 stores.
Yeah.
Selling these bags.
Yeah. We went through a angel round in US. We had our Series A in Singapore. And it was just a rapidly scaling business. Like, to me, it was a business built to be sold, you know. For me, it was very exciting because first time I built a team, it was 60 people operating across the world. Building that kind of operational backend to it. Just figuring out what's the product delivery schedule, how are customers, like how they're reacting to it. The one very stupid mistake I made in retrospect is I'm not a very good, like you said, you're camera shy. Me too, like same. I'm not a fan of like going out and talking. Yeah. Like this to me is chill. Like to me it's you I'm talking.
Yeah.
You know?
But not like an audience.
Yeah. And so social media, even that, like I don't post. Like I'm not good with all that. So that trickled into the company where like, and this is totally on me as a learning to be like, Batchpack didn't have an online presence. Like we had repeat customers coming to our website, but there was no online marketing. It was so physically dependent, you know. So there was this little thing that happened in 2020 called COVID. And
it changed the dynamics of how people do business.
Yeah. And I mean, it was awful, man. 3-4 months, I was just every day wake up to be like, which store are we closing today? You know, how are we negotiating our contracts out of this place? But yeah, it was painful, and luckily now post-COVID, things with that company are getting back on track. We are starting to rebuild it essentially. Okay. Because we know the product works, we know scalability works, the model works.
So that is still there.
Yeah.
So alongside you started Almost Gods.
Yeah. So this is Batchpack was technically tangentially was before Almost Gods. But how did Almost Gods
how did Almost Gods happen?
When I graduated from college, I was looking for I was that kid who was really into sneakers. In India, no one knew sneakers at the time. I remember for holidays, like some holidays, to come back to India, walk into like Nike and be like, sneakers hai? And he showed me like running shoes. And I was like,
no, these are not. No, what I'm talking about.
So I was that kid in America who I would like not eat for a week. I would like save up my money and I'd go and I'd buy my sneakers. You know, I was flying across the country. Like I saw one shoe left in like Chicago. I like booked a flight to Chicago to go pick up sneakers. You know, I was sleeping outside Supreme. Like to me,
that big of a.
I loved it because I love art, but I could never access art. Like art is, I can see it in a museum. But for me to own art is so expensive.
Of course, yeah.
And a college kid, you have no money. So sneakers was like my outlet there. Also, like you go to a party and then you became that kid who you could talk.
Yeah.
It's like social cred. Like you became cool because you knew something the others didn't.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's the whole hype that this culture is building on more and more.
Totally. So I love that. I really wanted to bring that idea to India. You know, sneakers led me into streetwear because of the same like cultural idea. And I was like, I really want to do something. I want to be part of this community in some way. I don't know what. Um, we came back. I realized I don't know how to make clothes. I had a production unit which I had set up by that time for Batchback that was just making bags.
Okay.
But I was like, okay, I can use this in kapde, matlab factory.
एक है, हाँ.
So जब भी like time मिलता था, I would just like put some kapda over there to be like sample करके तुम एक ये बना दो, वो बना दो. But firstly, I didn't realize that a bag tailor, bag master is a very different thing than garment tailors, garment
Of course.
masters. You know, huge learning there. Second, I did not know how to make clothes. What I studied was international relations and economics. Like this is not my dunya. You know, it was just passion. So I love to read because of my mom. Like I've grown up with this thing of like read, just consume information. So just bought a couple of books, went on YouTube, just started learning how to like pattern make, understood how fashion brands work, like why are they important. It's something, I think a fashion brand is something very easy to dismiss today because you look at the world realistically, there are 300 things that are more important, you know, hospitals, way more important, police officers, lawyers, like these things are like genuinely you're contributing to society. So in the face of it, you can very easily dismiss fashion.
Yeah, it's like needs versus wants.
Exact is a essential worker is what the government, right? We were no longer essential
workers.
Yeah. But so for me, it was to understand like, I know I want to be a part of this, but almost trying to convince myself to be like, why is this important? What is important about this? Like, there are these 300 things happening in the world. Why should I spend all my energy and attention on fashion? And bro, I think the more you go into like fashion and not like this bastardized version of fashion that we've had in India over the last
few years or decades, whatever,
fashion is art. Like it genuinely
100%.
Right? Fashion done right is art, and fashion tapping into culture, fashion tapping into conversation, fashion prompting word of mouth, right? Is powerful. It's connection. It brings people together in the most incredible way. You know, now I've seen it with Almost Gods is like, I mean, this is the most microcosm way of it happening. But there are events where we'll go and we'll just talk about these crazy, ridiculous things and people I'd never have anything to talk with. But it opens a door. It's human connection. You know, it's a easy center point.
Yeah.
Fashion is it has an emotional response. Genuinely, you sit with someone's work the way you would in a museum. You know, you go sit with the works of Sousa, right? You will feel an emotional response. You go sit with the works of one of my favorite artists, Mark Rothko. In London, he has this room called the Rothko Room in Tate. Bro, I've sat there and I've cried. I've like the emotional response. Overwhelming.
The impact of art that comes onto people.
Bro, art is healing and art is communication and art is it's inspiring and it's quintessentially important to, I think, everything else we do. So coming back to that Kanye conversation, Kanye today impacts
billions of people.
He impacts how the health industry works, man.
Yeah.
He impacts how lawyers work today. He impacts how, I mean, it's insane and it's all tangential, and that's because he's tapped into this cultural narrative, and cultural narrative is how we're thinking. That is culture. You know?
Of course.
So knew I wanted to be part of this in some way. Started learning these things, and that sort of led me to starting Almost Gods almost as like a side project, as like a thing I'll do for fun. No team, just Dhruv. But whenever, like, let's say we had an order come in, someone from my operations team of Batch, I'd be like, yeah, record and call lo iske liye.
So you start promoting this online?
We started
in 2020.
In 2018.
Oh, sorry, in 2018. Okay, in 2018 only. Okay.
Yeah. And it was very small. Social media, I just take a photo of something. We launched Shoelace. I took a photo of my shoe. Very small. We had cool ideas for like what a campaign could be. So again, my graphic team that we had set up for Batchback over time, I was like, let's do this kind of thing and make it. But very, very bootleg, not thinking of this as a business. We did, and then we launched it homegrown, which was insane because to me we were surrounded by artists and rappers and all these like people that we look up to. Within 6 months, we were at Seoul DXB, which was the biggest streetwear festival in the world.
Okay.
It's in Dubai.
Dubai, yeah.
And they put us next to Dior and Concepts. Bro, it was
I am
crazy.
sure the feeling.
Yeah, I mean, like ASAP Rocky's team came through. We got invited to the Gucci party through that. Like Kanye's team came through. I wrote my final paper in college about Kanye. So मैं तो रो रहा था, dude. Like
मुझे लाल ने बताया था.
yeah, man, they picked up pieces. Tiana Taylor, like Danny Lake kissed me on the cheek. I was like in heaven. I was like,
What is happening?
"Yeh karna hai." So this was exciting. But what ended up happening at that point was Batchpack was going through a Series A. We were jumping from, I think, our first store to second store to like a 5-store deal immediately. So it was, pace was picking up. With all that, Almost Gods was a hobby. Like it wasn't a business, you know? I was like, we can pause it for now, leave it. And when we get time, we come back to it. Paused it for about a year. Almost Gods sat on a shelf. Orders would come in. People would randomly message me like, where the fuck are you guys?
But you were delivering orders.
We were delivering orders because जब भी कुछ आता था, we
But no focus on like building a brand or
nothing,
like that.
nothing. But it's like रात के like 3 बजे, if you had an idea, we'd like execute it, you know? Because to me it was, even while doing Batchpack, at 3 a.m. the ideas that were exciting me all Almost Gods ideas. Everything I wanted to achieve that was, I was like long term, was aligning itself with Almost Gods. So when COVID hit and things really became bad with Batchpack, I was like, this is kind of like it's a terrible time, but let me take this as
An opportunity
to restart Almost Gods like properly. So to me, I really see 2020 as like the birth of Almost Gods. It's very fun to me when like random like these kids and people walk up to me to be like, oh, I've known you since 2018. Like I've seen this since 2018. I bought this. That. I was like, okay, cool. Like you know, you know,
OG.
Yeah. But yeah, so 2020 we started building a team for it. We started actually building merchandising. We built our production lines, and now we've got our first store in Gurgaon.
Which I think everyone should visit. It's beautiful, bro. The store is just too beautiful.
Thank you. But bro, the same thing. Experience. You want to immerse them in this world.
Like as soon as you enter, it's like, wow, where am I?
Yeah.
Even though it's not that big, but just being there, it's just such a vibe. That place is a vibe.
Yeah. And that it was built with that. I think objective number 1 was like, it has to be that vibe.
Yeah.
That needs, clothes are boring. How do you build a world around clothes that make the clothes so much more exciting?
Yeah, I remember Lal telling me, because he had invited us before the shoot, before the launch of the store. So he said कि आ जाओ, किसी चीज की ना फोटो मत खींचना. Launch पे दिखाना है सबको हमने क्या बनाया.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
nice. And one thing, why Almost Gods? What is behind this name? It's so intriguing. It's such an interesting name.
Yeah.
And I think a name of a company and the logo, like you have a red logo, you know, most of the biggest brands in the world have either red or yellow logos. And also the name is so catchy, and I think it matters a lot for any brand to grow
For
and
sure.
scale. So why Almost Gods?
Bro,
Did you come up with this name?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. My senior year of college, I was really into postmodernism.
Postmodernism, okay.
Yeah. Which is, it's a school of thought that kind of talks about leveling of the playing field of power, you know? It says that humans are on the same level as gods. So to me, that's an idea that always intrigued me. You know, I was like, that's a cool idea, to being like, the way we saw world of being like gods above us, humans, cockroaches, whatever.
Yeah.
Now, cockroaches, humans, gods, everything is equal in this new postmodernistic world. So I just sat with that idea and never intended to do anything with it. When the thing of like coming up with a name for the brand came up, or like this project, not even a brand at the time, I just sat, we made a list of I think 30-40 names, and Almost Gods is the last name on that list. And I remember like the night after we came up with it, I left it, woke up the next morning, saw it again, and I was like, yeah.
This
And
is
I
it.
literally that day I booked the domain.
Okay.
And the idea to me, it felt so right because it's a sense of power. It's a thing of like, I wear this and I feel,
That power.
yeah, you want clothes to set up a vibe. You want, like white t-shirts, you can get everywhere. But what makes, just a, you know, if Almost Gods does a white t-shirt, how should I feel wearing Almost Gods? Yeah, मेरा tag यहाँ लगा हुआ है, बाहर दुनिया नहीं देख सकती. That should also give you that sense of like, oh, I'm wearing Almost Gods की white t-shirt. That power is there, you know. So it was very optimistic. It was very. I love humans. I'm a huge fan of the human race.
Same, of
Yeah.
course, man.
And I think for all the negativity that people say about all the things that we've messed up, we have messed up a lot. But genuinely, look at the world now and 100 years before.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
we have grown a lot.
A lot. We're the only like species to have gone to the moon. You know.
Yeah.
It's a silly thing, but like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
cool. So I think
Or
that's
to make something like the James Webb telescope, I mean,
exactly
humans did that.
Insane, man. Insane.
Insane. What? Yeah.
So I think there's a sense of optimism to it. So there's a sense of feeling good about it. There's a sense of power that comes with the name of being like, I'm more than just
Human.
yes, yeah. I'm more than
Yeah.
I'm more than the negative connotations of being human. There's strength to me being who I am. You know, and I think all good fashion kind of celebrates self-identity and celebrates
For
you.
sure. Great. Are you in India most of the times or travel?
Yeah. Before COVID, I was
Traveling.
everywhere. In my office, I have this whiteboard, and on the whiteboard, I remember like this 2019. I had my dates written down for like 2 months' time. I think in 2 months, I was in like 10 cities across like 3 continents. And I was writing date, place, flight, booked or not, and where am I staying? And it's like friend's couch, Airbnb. I was like. It was crazy, man. In Bangkok, when we started Batchback, also like because we had funding, like everything was under a microscope.
Yeah.
Right. So to save money, I was sleeping in my warehouse, and it was like the whole warehouse on the side was like this tiny little room we'd built.
Yeah, you're sleeping.
Yeah.
Good man. So my next question to you is, when you started Almost Gods, we didn't have that much of a culture for this kind of clothing or these types of designs in India.
Yeah.
After I think 2020, it's really boomed. But when you started off 2018, 2019, even the initial parts of 2020, it wasn't a part of our culture, you can say.
For sure.
How big of a risk was that to you? Did this thought come in your mind that, this is a space that I'm going to create if it's not there?
I love that. To me, all my like superheroes have kind of been that, It's cliche to say, but like Steve Jobs, the space existed, but didn't exist the way it does today or the way he imagined it to be.
Yeah.
In my life, I've stolen only ever one thing, which is I went to the house where Steve Jobs built Apple, like that.
Oh, okay.
And it's all fenced up, the cameras everywhere. And I just sat there for the longest time. And I was like, something like that Indian in me. I was like, kuch chahiye yahan se to like remember it. I'll take one blade of grass, something. And I saw the mailbox and I reached across and I unscrewed one screw from the mailbox, got in a car and ran. It's framed in my office even today.
Oh my God. But it's such a great thing to have.
It's such a, you feel you're connected to something bigger than yourself, But yeah, so like people like that, they've always pushed the envelope and they've really, really thought big. So when I was starting Almost, there was no risk to me to be like, first it wasn't meant to be a business. It was a hobby
that you started.
Right? There was capital investment, but I knew that it's within my like what I can deal with right now. Even if it goes away tomorrow, no problem. Like that was built into the idea. And I genuinely just believe that India would catch up. India would need the space.
So you had this belief that things would.
Yeah.
Of course, man.
Man, I'm a nationalist through and through. I love India. And I genuinely see what we're doing in this thing. It's a little like me patting myself on the back. But I think
you should.
But I think that this space in India, I see kids and I see the people I'm interacting with. They want community like this. They want people to interact. They want spaces to go. They want things to talk about.
Do you think the increase in the rise of the rap culture has also assisted to this?
Yes, for sure. For sure. I mean, I remember like Gully Boy coming out. Gully Boy.
Yeah.
And they came at it with a very different perspective than I intended. They came as like streetwear, right? Now, I'm not streetwear because I feel like my design language is different than that. I feel like the conversation, the storytelling that I'm having is different than what traditionally streetwear was. They were coming from like giving voice to the people who've not been given a voice, right? which I think is definitely a part of what I'm doing. But it became momentum, man. Like slowly, it was one thing after another. Where like people like my age group, both men, women, whatever, like they did not have a space to go for a brand that they could wear without thinking. In India, fashion is lehengas and this, so that's an occasion piece. Should have it, makes sense.
But not something you can wear daily.
Yeah, you don't wear it. Very risky. Our lives don't look like that anymore. You know, our life is you gym, you work, you go out with friends, you club.
Yeah, 100%.
So
It's like more casual side too.
for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. And but it's casual, but we're still giving it that respect, that storytelling.
Of course,
that a lehenga.
of course, yeah.
Just because Zara does casual, what do we give here that Zara doesn't? Is we give you a feeling, we give you a community, we give you a sense of purpose.
Yeah.
We get you to be a part of a much bigger community and much bigger conversation. You know, we hopefully give you a signifier for your identity by saying when you wear Almost Gods, you're not just another person. This is saying something about your beliefs. You know, and I do think like today we want those signifiers. The shoes I wear, I wear these shoes called Dr. Martens. I love those shoes. Now I could wear any Chelsea boots. Yes, these are good quality, but to me, it's the storytelling. I'm connecting myself to 200 years of process. They're one of the first shoemakers. They essentially like was such a key component of industrialization. The depth of story, their collaborations, people they worked with. I feel like I'm connected to something bigger than myself.
For sure. And bro, that's like what I spoke to a few people in this whole startup circle in India, and everyone told me कि community build करनी एक business के लिए सबसे ज़रूरी चीज़ है.
100%.
Because आप कुछ भी निकालोगे ना,
Yeah.
वो community आपका part बन चुकी है. They have that respect, that feel, whatever you can call it.
Yeah.
But they are part of the community that you have created around your brand.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult for someone else to come and break that community and कि तुम हमारे पास आ जाओ.
100%.
They're a part of something that they believe in altogether.
Yeah. That's believe. Like that word, like that's everything.
That's everything.
That's
Same. Bro, I wanted to get that tattooed for the last 7-8 years, but it's so cliche. Everyone has that.
Listen, better than like C'est la vie or like love or Om.
Nice. So, talking about creativity, I've seen a couple of your designs at the store and online and on Instagram, and every piece that you make has such unique designs, and it's so creative. It's just so beautiful to. It's literally art mixed with clothing.
Thank you.
Yeah. How well, like what inspires you, or how do you get these ideas? Because you're the creative director, so how does that come about?
Man, I think Almost Gods is primarily having a conversation about power. That is genuinely, I think a lot of brands could say that the core of our conversation is the feeling of like feeling pretty or love or whatever. To me, like power is such a central thing, you know. And I've grown up with this weird obsession with this idea of power. Never that like wanting it, but like I find it so exciting. I find it so fascinating. I remember like I walked onto like Harvard's grounds, and like सब लोग बोल रहे अच्छा college है Harvard. To me, Harvard है. You know, like matha tek ho. You know,
Harvard है वो.
That one institution accounts for so much of the intelligentsia of the world, but also like it shapes so much. A random bloody kid is sitting in rural India, his parents are still saying tum Harvard jaoge.
Dreaming about that.
Dreaming, right?
That's
So
the impact that they have created.
it's a thing, it's a goal, right? The pyramids, to me, like I remember seeing the pyramids for the first time. Just, bro, like I could sit there for like 2-3 days. I mean,
Gazing at the Gaza.
yeah, it's insane what they did, bro. Like the pyramids were built. Like
Aliens did that.
Yeah, it's dead ass, seriously. Yeah. But this is like 10,000 years ago. They built this perfect structure.
Yeah. All three of them, same height, same size.
Unreal, you know. And it's a symbol of power. No matter where you go, like you feel it when you're there. You feel that you're attracted to it. You know. So that conversation of power is always part of like where we started. And I think a large place that we've drawn a lot of symbols that I think are part of the human psyche, are part of like a collective human culture. and it's things that people very like, whether they have like thought about it or not. There's a symbol that they've seen somewhere as an association to power. So if I look at this piece that I'm wearing, for example, like this double-headed shirt. Now you've seen this double-headed eagle somewhere, right? You may not be able to relate it to your daily life, but it's a symbol that's been associated with a bigger institution, almost gods. To me, God is the number one power signifier in the world, right? So what can you do that's a derivative of that without like stepping on any religion, without stepping on anyone's like system of beliefs? How do you draw on these things in a way that anyone can wear this, like completely agnostic to who you are as an individual, and still feel connected to a bigger thing, a bigger purpose? So I think that symbols is incredibly important. Humans, I truly believe, we think in symbols, you know. So that's there. Then I also think the collection, the storytelling that you want to have for that season. You look at what's the state of the world, and as an artist, how do you want to comment on it? You know, COVID happened. Our response was a collection called Fruit Shop at the End of the World.
Okay.
You know, where it was totally like built out of 3D, everything. Nothing was from the real world. We actually opened our own fruit shop in Green Park. We sold clothes out of Boris. Like it was an experience, and then we built its own story. We wrote like a book for it. So truly to be immersed in that world, and there's a very tangential storytelling to what was happening in reality, but we made it our own, you know. New collections called General Systems Collapse.
It's coming up now?
No, this is the last collection,
okay.
Which it just released about a month and a half back. Okay. General Systems Collapse to me it's very interesting as a term, because it talks about this theory that was put forward by a professor in Oxford or something, that says that every 366 years, I believe, 336 years, human civilizations tend to collapse on themselves. And by all accounts, we're currently ready for that. Like we're on the brink of it. And in the face of something like Ukraine, Russia, whatever, like it feels very like palpable, right? So to kind of comment on that, to be like, that's a terrifying reality that we're facing, but also I think it lends itself to optimism, because every time a society has collapsed, the next society has grown up even exponentially. So that's always it, and I think it's in the face of destruction where that power, that survivor
comes in.
Yeah,
that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And you have a team, or it's you who's doing most of the designing?
No, initially it was me, and I realized that
you need a team.
100%
in every business. You can't function without it.
You can't scale.
You can't scale without a team, for sure.
Yeah. And genuinely need a team that I think you can trust. Like eyes closed, you need to build that.
Yeah. Trust is a very important part of business.
Insanely.
Yeah. I can relate to that.
So yeah, the team is now about 11 people.
Okay.
I have an assistant designer. She's fantastic, and I think it's growing. You know, like we've got a lot of like new collaborators coming in. I think outside even the core team, there are a lot of external people that we started working with recently who have been very, very exciting additions to Almost Gods as a whole. So yeah.
So when you're hiring someone creative, what do you see? What is one of the few things that you think this is very important for someone who's joining the creative team of Almost Gods?
I think they need to be obsessed with what we're doing.
Okay.
You know, the fact of the matter is, I think we're in such a differentiated space. Every day I wake up, I have like God knows number of emails being like, can I work for you? Can I do internships? Whatever. And I would say 90% of those messages we delete. We don't look at. Reason being, there's no cover letter telling me how obsessed you are with the brand.
I think, did you guys put out something a few days back as well? You did, yeah? I just recalled what you said with that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's... Man, if a kid sends me, this is my CV, I'll say, this is the like trash button, you know? Like, but I get like those 10% of messages where I get a kid telling me what they care about with Almost Gods, what they want to achieve with Almost Gods, how do they bring value to the brand rather than what will you learn from the brand. You learn, like we know you learn, you know, we know what the brand's performing and we know where the brand's going to go. I don't want to know what you will learn. At a very core level, when you're applying to something, what are you bringing to the table, you know?
That's true.
And why are you so obsessed with this that I should hire you over anyone else?
Okay.
You know, why will you fight for that perfect outcome that no one else will see?
That's something that you look for.
Yeah.
Anyone?
So, man, my team is obsessed. Like, genuinely, it's. I've done this with Batchpack, but Batchpack was such a commercial business. It was like, tum sales mein ho sales. And I used to see them on the camera also. Half the day, they'd be on their phone, whatever. It used to eat me. I was like, I don't want to build this long term. You know? I want a team of people obsessed with what we're creating. Doing. So, I mean, we do interviews that last 6-7 hours, you know? People come to our team and every person in the team has to say, okay, I like them, I like the energy at the final stages. You know, there's that sense of being a cult in a positive way that has to start घर पे.
बिल्कुल सही बात है.
So
सही बात है. जब आपकी टीम ही वैसी नहीं होगी तो दूसरे लोग कैसे बनेंगे?
For sure. I mean, it's genuinely, I think we're very fortunate in where we're sitting today with that, because this is the best team I've ever had. Like, hands down, this is the best team I've ever had. Not just from the perspective of work, but like, and the people that they are outside of Almost Gods. Because I do think that all of that, your experiences outside inform this. You know, they add to this. Whether you go and do bloody tango dancing after, you rap, you play chess, whatever, all those interests form our identity. So it's important to be multidimensional. You can't just be ye work karta hu. That's not your personality, you know. So I think our team is doing that, but also there's this thing in everyone. There's that sense of ownership in everyone to be like do this.
Ownership is very important.
So important, bro.
When your team starts taking ownership of the company that you have started, you are blessed. Literally, then you are
game
blessed.
Changing, bro.
It's game changing. Yeah. I agree.
People come in and they say, "Oh, look at how much that person's doing, and I need to emulate it." You know? Like, exactly. And it's just it builds, man. It builds. So
nice, man.
Yeah.
Nice. So nice to hear that. My next question: what are the brands that inspire you? You can name a few. You can name one. You can name
fashion or
fashion.
Okay. Within fashion, I think if I look at Indian brands, the number one Indian brand is SABYASACHI. You know?
Yeah.
Genuinely, you walk into
their store and it's just magic. Every piece.
Everything is thought through. I mean, it truly makes me proud to be like, I'm going to be a part of this, like what this man has created. You know? That brand is... It's unreal. And you look at it from a global standard, it is unreal from a global standard. Yeah. And there's so much of India in there, so much of him in there, there's so much of...
India's roots.
In the most beautiful way.
What do you think of the collab they had with H&M?
Garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage. But that's okay. A brand needs to make money. Like a brand like that, their core business is for a very like limited clientele, and the most other, like 99% of the world says, I want a taste of it. And that's okay. Like you give them that, you know?
Yeah. I also own a piece from SABYASACHI. Yeah, something like that.
There's this European brand I love called Marni.
Marni, okay.
Very, very expensive, out of my like price thing, but I want to be part of that in some way. They did a thing with Uniqlo. I bought probably 5 of the things they did, you know? I was like, I'm part of it somewhere, you know? So
it's the same thing with SABYASACHI.
Totally the same thing, you know? So in India, then there's young brands, man. There's brands like, there's a brand called Garuda, Techwear. The creative director is this guy called Sohail. They're really just doing their own thing. Like, they're not looking at anyone else.
Is this also Indian?
Indian. He's based out of Chandigarh, Panchkula.
Panchkula, yeah.
Okay. But very cool vision, you know. And Indian brand doing techwear, you don't have that here. In India, I can't really think of anyone else who inspires me. But then if I look at the world, fuck, man.
There are too many.
Oh, yeah. There's so much you learn because here we've not been exposed to it. Like, I got exposed to it because of the States, but I got doubly exposed to it because of Instagram, you know? When you go through Instagram, then you're like, oh, this is a rabbit hole. You start watching their YouTube, start seeing their interviews. The way they think, the way they engage with their communities is insane. There's a brand called Margiela, which is... For people really into fashion, Margiela is considered God.
Okay.
You know, Margiela created, and really at a time when fashion was like the traditional image of like a very sophisticated model going down the runway, Margiela was putting like these like strange looking people wearing like the most expensive clothes with the most beautiful cuts doing random like shows. He'd just like without announcing do a show in the middle of a parking lot. He became this cult brand. No one knows who this guy is. There's one photo of him.
Okay.
Whenever there's a team photo of Margiela, like Maison Margiela, his chair is just left empty. This guy is so cool.
I mean, things like this is what builds your cult. Like you said, what was that? The thing called the fruit shop thing that you.
Yeah, fruit shop at the end of the world.
So you selling your clothing out of those boras is something similar to that, something different which people are not doing.
Yeah.
And that's what attracts people.
For sure.
For sure. And how did it feel, or how does it feel when like a celebrity or a famous rapper or an actor wears what you have created?
I think when we started, it was very, very big. One of the first like big names to wear us was Sonam Kapoor.
Okay.
And I remember just saying, oh my God, this
Sonam
happened.
Kapoor.
Yeah. My family's getting so excited. We're calling, oh my God. Then Ranveer wore it. Ranveer was a big, big high as well for me, because Ranveer is genuinely, as an artist, is someone I look up to a lot. His work is...
I mean, he's built like that cult by doing things differently.
Yeah.
By wearing things differently.
I don't fully understand his fashion sense, but I don't think that's my place to comment. But if I look at his work as a professional, I look at his output in terms of volume, I look at his cultural conversation. I mean, like this shoot he did with Paper Magazine, the naked one.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Genuinely, I remember I woke up, I saw that, and I was just like so happy. There's this incredible stylist he worked with named Kshitij Kinkaria, who is someone we always looked up to, and it's really cool because now we're working with him in a very close way.
Okay.
So Kshitij styled Ranveer for that shoot.
Okay. For the paper magazine.
For the paper shoot. Man, amazing. You'll read Ranveer's question and answers over there. You see the way there's a composition, it's pulled back and yet so powerful. Like, genuinely, I really, really love the guy. I think he's undeniably got such a thing to him. There's a magic to him. So to me, Ranveer wearing it was
big.
Was very, very big. The other person who was big that excited me, so like Kanye wearing it was tears for sure.
Kanye?
After Soul DXB, Kanye's team came through, picked up pieces, and I got like a snap, like one of like Kanye's producers and I are like now friends on Instagram. So he just like sent me. Kanye was wearing a piece while like making Ye, I believe.
Man,
that was a big one.
That is huge.
That was like tears, and that was just like graduation. The album, like I was just bumping it the whole day. I was like,
damn.
But after that, I to me it's now it's okay.
Second nature, like it's happening a lot now.
Now it's happening enough.
It's a part of the culture now. So of course everyone's going to be wearing it.
I was at lunch the other day also. Arjun Kapoor or something. We got tagged. So I showed my friend. Nice. I was like,
पागल हो जाते हैं देख के.
But it's now your heroes, like now I think that celebrity thing of like, wow, celebrity, that's not there as much. Now it's the people who I idolize. So genuinely, I think Elon wears it, I will die. I'll be...
Man, I love Elon Musk. Have you seen Return to Space on Netflix?
Oh, dude, amazing.
I've seen it twice. I've seen it twice. He is...
Have you seen him on Joe Rogan?
Yeah,
the first one.
My
God! When you talk about Neuralink, like it's just anything.
Like it's so normal.
Oh, it's amazing, man.
He is genuinely not from this planet.
Not at all.
He is built different.
Yes.
I have not seen a guy like him. No matter how he is flipped, because he is built different.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I mean, the fact that electric cars is like a normal part of our conversation, that's him.
Yeah. And just imagine those rockets going back up and coming back again, landing on those bases, reducing the cost by like 500-700%.
It's brilliant.
It's brilliant.
It was really funny, and I really like Elon is someone I'm a geek about. When Tesla was built and he was entering like SpaceX, he had a flight with these like engineers based out of like rocket scientists out of Russia to be like, how do we start this? And he got there to the meeting to be like, this is what I want to do, and he's talking all these technical details, and these guys are starting to be like, how do you know this? Like, when did you become an expert in this? He goes, I read a book on the plane coming here. And I was like, what? I was like, That's how easy it is to absorb knowledge, you know? There was this thing I read somewhere that if you read 3 books about any subject, you know more than 98% of the world about any subject.
That is actually true, you know, and I feel nowadays reading has become so underrated. I have like all these books up here because
Yeah.
even I'm very fond of reading. It's just become so underrated.
It's a superpower, man.
It is a superpower. Knowledge is a superpower. As simple as that.
Yeah, 100%. And it's in terms of an investment, like, bro, like 300 rupee book can lead you to being a billionaire.
Yes,
You know,
that's
there's
true.
nothing that gives you that good a return in the world.
That's true. That's true.
So, it's genuinely, I think absorb knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah.
I feel maybe even the people that don't like reading books, even if you start listening to them, because now those audio ones are available, I mean, even that
Yeah.
makes a lot of impact because again,
For sure.
you're gaining a lot of knowledge.
100%. 100%.
So, my last question, Dhruv. Where do you see Almost Gods going in the next 5, 7, 10 years, India and globally?
Yeah. I think with Almost Gods, the conversation has always been to be global or built for global since day one. You know, I love that idea that a kid wears Almost Gods and being like, oh fuck, this is cool. And then flips it over to be like, oh, this is a brand from India. Like, how did that happen? You know? Like, I really, to me, it's this thing of like, I want to like expand India's definition globally. I remember going to college, man, it was insane. Like, I didn't ever imagine it could happen. Kids were asking me, like, in India, do you have cars?
Don't tell me
So it was insane. Like, and I hate that. Otherwise, this is like spirituality. You know, like, India is not just a dukaan selling spirituality.
वो नमस्ते have you seen Namaste London?
हाँ,
उसमें वो जो speech नहीं देता गोरे को, we're not just a country of snake
Yeah.
charmers and
Yeah, that's it. So I want to make that definition of India, I think, a lot bigger than that. We
I
look,
appreciate that.
no, of course.
Yeah.
We look at America as a country that creates cool. You know, we look at Japan as a country that we like emulate to be like, itna, like they're so cool, they're doing this thing, this thing. I genuinely think that once we create that culture for ourselves, that is something that we can take abroad. And being cool is exponentially powerful. I mean, I look at Korea, right? Korea's example was like, Korea was a nice country, you know, very culturally strong, very strong roots. South Korea. And then they came to the world with K-pop, with skincare. Generally today, as someone who, I don't speak a lick of Korean, I look at a Blackpink member coming in, I get excited. The Blackpink documentary came, I was like, I'll leave work, I'll skip work today to go watch this documentary. The fact that they've been able to capture my imagination, the fact that they're building brands over there, today I am, as a not a Korean, so much more inclined to interact with Korean culture, to want to go to work with Koreans, to go travel to Korea. I see Korea in a very different light than my forefathers would have seen Korea, you know? And I really think if India is to like play with this idea of cool, to expand it, definitely, we have culture, we have history. I think it's a matter of showing that properly with a lot more respect. In a way that's, India is going through this weird transition phase where I think we're still figuring out how to still show our culture to the world in the right way. But I do think we have those things already. What we need to be is forward thinking and generators of cool, where the world wants to come to us, be like, oh fuck, like,
they are cool.
yeah,
we want to work with them.
You know, I look at so many people coming to work with Indians. You know, like when I would go with Batchpack, I'd walk into a meeting. There's always a conversation of like chill out. Like they're gonna act like this because you're Indian. Give it time and it'll change. But there's such a bad reputation we have. Yeah,
We do.
so
No denying that. It is changing. It is going to take time.
Yeah.
But we need to go beyond just a country of yoga and spirituality. And
100%.
it is changing, man.
Yeah.
So many things. India is, especially in the last 2 years after COVID, I think we have shown the world that.
For sure. Bro, I meet more people like you. I see it, man. Like, it's accelerating, huh? The more people I meet who are actually tapped in, engaged from this, like, our age group, who are, like, changing shit, who are doing things in such a cool way. Man, there's an artist in Bangalore, and this is a very different world than the idea of entrepreneurship. But there's an artist in Bangalore who builds art out of mycelium, which is mushrooms.
He builds art out of that.
Yeah. Now, to me, that sounds like some shit coming out of Japan or America. Like, that's such a weird niche. But it's so cool. You know, it's part of this much broader cultural conversation today to be like, look at what the kids here are doing. They're not just going for consulting jobs. They're not just joining a standard thing our parents would have been forced to look at, you know. They're really exploring their routes. So I love living in Delhi. I love being a part of this because, and I was living in the US, but I got out as soon as I could and I moved to Bangkok because I truly see the way Asia is rising is fucking phenomenal, you know. In Bangkok, it felt like everyone would do a line of cocaine and go to work in the morning. The energy, man, everyone was just pushing. You see it in Delhi. Everyone is pushing to be someone, be something, and just create something new.
Even in Bombay, it's like a city that is at
Crazy.
4 a.m. in the night, you're sitting and it's just like everything's just moving. The
Yeah.
energy of
It's amazing.
these places. Yeah.
It's amazing. And I think the West has had its moment.
Now it's our time.
Now it's our time. And it's very, very cool to be here. So coming
Back to the question. Where do you see all this?
I do want India's that is a long-term goal with me. I want India's definition of the way the world views India to be broadened. We are in stores today in North America and Europe. You know, we are in I don't know 8-9 stores globally. But I think for me it's very much to say that I want to build India while I'm building us outside. You know,
Understood.
in India, I want to build that culture more and more. I want to engage more deeply with people. I want to show people to be like, yo, like fashion or a brand that's involved culturally is engaged in so many 10 different things that you've never seen a company here do before. You've not had that exposure, you know? But like, goddamn, like you can broaden your horizon, and when one kid gets inspired there, like even in what little we've done today as Almost Gods, I have seen kids getting inspired. I've seen kids walk up to us and have just being like gush over what we do. And being like, oh, made me think about doing this thing differently. I was like,
Best feeling.
satisfied.
Best feeling. That's what you've been working for,
Yeah.
man.
And I genuinely think if we can in 10 years hit that level of scale to create such a broad cultural impact, India's not going to look the same 10 years from now. Not just us, but like the way the ecosystem's evolving. I just want to be a huge part of it. You know?
That's great. What a lovely conversation to have, bro. Really, really enjoyed this conversation. Anything, I always ask this to everyone, all the entrepreneurs that have come on the show, is there any one advice that you would want to give to the people who are watching or want to start their own brand or want to get into clothing or this culture? Just one advice.
It really sucks. It really sucks to be an entrepreneur. So be prepared for that.
Yeah, be prepared. There's a lot of hard work.
There's nothing
Easy.
easy. You will not make any money for the longest
This
time.
time, yeah.
You will be the brunt of everything, every problem. You will be emotionally impacted by anyone's problem in your team. Like it will come to you and it'll hurt you.
I can relate so much to that. All of those.
It really sucks, and there's a lot of teething problems. It really takes time to like be like happy and comfortable with it. And then one day a kid will come to you and tell you that what you did made a difference, and you're like, this is the coolest thing in the world, you know?
Yeah.
So like just like stick with it.
Stick with it.
Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for coming, Dhruv. It was an honor, pleasure, and I learned so
Pleasure.
much.
No, thank you so much for having me, bro.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.